Hey, yo, please let me know if y'all like investing lessons from the elderly. If you do, well, here's another one. Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy, one physical therapist assistant, back at you with another one, hanging out with the legends of America again. Always a good time hanging out with the legends of America. They taught me a lot today, Whew. Yeah, I met a 96-year-old lady today who did not look 96, good God. She did not look 96. Oh man, hey, you know, it's all sad, man, when you reach that age. This is sad. This is messed up. You reach that age and you have like grandchildren that take advantage of you. I've come across this a lot. Grandchildren that stealing from you, taking your bank cards and all of that. I mean, granted, yes, you are 96. You are technically very, very close. You are beyond life expectancy. And you might have some funds. And instead of stealing from grandma, you know, why don't you ask grandma if you could hold something? You could have something. I'm sure grandma doesn't mind. Grandma tells me stories of a troubled grandson who's stealing from her, who, you know, got mixed up with drugs in the wrong crowd, and let's just say not making grandma very happy in the late stages of life. That's tough to see. And for the most part, the majority of her family, she talks about her family. She's talking about her family a lot. I told you, man, they be oversharing, man. The older generation be oversharing. And I know it's tough because when you're up in that age like that, man, you ain't got many people to talk to. So you meet a new face, like I said, you meet a new face who's helping you. It's you get that stuff off your chest. You get this stuff off your chest. And her family is doing really well. She's got a daughter who's, you know, in the medical field. Another daughter is a manager of a, you know, large corporation. The family's doing good, but that one relative is giving her problems. But you know what I told her? I said, ma'am, I know this sounds cliche, but we all got them. Every family has them. I don't care how good a family appears to be doing. There's always a few apples, one or two apples. I mean, I know my family, man, we had a few apples. I've had relatives that you can't trust. I've had relatives that have had to be cut off. Feel what I'm saying? It happens, unfortunately. So I tried to give her some grace. I told her she's a very religious woman. So I told her just keep praying for him, you know. Hopefully he'll come around and want to right his wrongs and do right by his grandma. But I just hate to see that. Sorry to share that little sad story with you. I know y'all got them in y'all family. We all got them. It is very normal, okay? When you got some bad apples in your family. Very, very normal. We all got them, okay? So just wanted to share that with you, let you know we all got them. And I tried to let her know that, hey, man, I know that really pains you, because she said she raised him. She helped raise him, did everything for him. She said he needs some mouth work done, and she said she paid over $40,000 for mouth work. So she is very messed up on how he can act like that later on in his 30s when she did so much for him when he was younger. So I told her, I said, it's okay, man. It's all right. And I know you're mad about that. I know that upsets you, but just keep praying for him. Hopefully he'll come around. Whew. But anyway, y'all, I got to make a run in the store real quick, and then I'm going to get to today's lesson. Whew. All right, y'all. On a rock and roll. Long day. Hey, yo. Y'all had to let me know if y'all getting tired of this type of lesson, okay? Because every time I come across this type of lesson, I'm going to give it to you. All right. Now, I'm the type of person at my big age of 44. Okay. At my big age of 44, I have come to understand, or me personally, I don't believe stuff until I see stuff. I don't believe stuff until I see stuff. Okay? I heard a comedian put it another way, but I'm not going to put it that way. I don't believe stuff until I see stuff. All right? Now, if somebody is just to tell me, hey, if you invest a lot of money, if you invest your money, right, for a long, long time, if you invest your money for a long, long time, it'll work for you. It'll grow. Your money will buy more money. And that money that your money bought will buy more money. And then that money will buy more money. And then that money will buy more money. You feel what I'm saying? And it'll all grow and compound. And then after a long period of time of you just doing absolutely nothing, but letting that money buy more money, it's a good chance you're going to be very, very happy with all of the compounding, all of the growth that has occurred just from you investing your money, which loses value every single day. You feel what I'm saying? I wouldn't believe if somebody if they just told me that. However, if I see evidence of that, if I meet someone who has experienced this, if I meet someone who has tried this tried this experiment, and this experiment has proven to bear fruit, then I will perk my ears and I will pay attention, and I might follow suit, and I might, follow that path. Well, that's what I see on a regular basis from a lot of my patients. I love when I meet the blue collar workers, the old school blue collar workers with maybe not a very, very high IQ, maybe not a very, very high, what am I trying to say? Higher education, higher level of education, may not have went to college. Many may not even have graduated high school. Heck, I didn't graduate high school. But I love to meet them later on in life, and they give me the stories of their blue collar years. You feel what I'm saying? I love to meet them later on in life, and they give me the stories of their blue collar years. And that's what happened to me today. I got some stories from some blue collar years from a former blue collar worker. Now, what company did this blue collar worker work for? He worked for a company you might have heard of. It's called UPS. I think it stands for the United Parcel Services. I believe that's what it stands for. I don't know for sure. United Parcel Services, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. UPS, the dudes in the big brown trucks with no doors who be delivering packages. Back in the day, they used to say, UPS man. Can y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Or at least we had one in our neighborhood. He would come through and he would say, UPS man, when he knocked on the door. I thought it was so cool. But they wore brown outfits. They still do, I think. They wear brown uniforms. Some of them wear shorts. Some of them wear pants. And it's cold. You know one thing he told me about the UPS trucks, and like when they don't have no doors? I don't know if I've ever seen, well, I think I might have seen it, but I just never really thought about it. But I always thought that the doors never are on there, but he told me that they're sliding doors so that they can shut the doors in the wintertime. I think I knew that, but I just associate UPS trucks with no doors. But anyway, he told me a lot about how it was back in the day. He told me he got robbed 2 times as a UPS man. I said, robbed? Who robs a UPS man? I mean, I can see, some sketchy places they might steal packages off the truck, but like rob a UPS man? How dare they? Who would rob a UPS man? What's wrong with y'all? But he told me, he was like, no. He was like, back in the day, they used to do cash on delivery. I said, what? I said, well, what is that? He said, well, if you ordered a big piece of equipment and I delivered it to you, there was a time where you had to give me the cash. What? I said, really? He was like, yeah. He was like, it was called COD, cash on delivery. Any of y'all remember that time? I don't remember that time. I do not, and I'm 44. I don't remember a time where you had to pay the UPS man when they delivered it. Maybe a check, maybe. But he said no, it was one time where you had to pay cash, and people knew this. So if you were in the sketchy areas, they knew that the UPS man might have had cash on him. He said he worked in the Washington, D.C. area, and I think a few parts of Maryland, even Baltimore, my hood, back where I come from. But he said he was robbed twice. And he said they only got, one time they got $2, and then one time they got $4. This was back in the day. My man is in his 80s, so it's back in the day. He said one time they got $2 and one time they got $4. Now, he said one of those times he was really, really mad because his kids had bought him a Washington Redskins lighter for his birthday. So a little lighter that had the Washington Redskins on it. I guess he was a smoker. And they robbed him and took his Washington Redskins lighter that his kids bought him. He said he was really, really mad about that. That really, really messed him up that they would take that. But yes, robbed at gunpoint as a UPS man. It's a good thing they don't do cash on delivery anymore. He said sometimes people will give you like bags of pennies. I said, what? He was like, yeah, he would give you like I don't know, $20, $50 in pennies. And he said you couldn't not accept it because it's money. It's money. So he had to take the bags of pennies. He reminded me about the potholes in Baltimore City. He was like, one thing I tell you about Baltimore City, your old hometown. He said, y'all got a lot of potholes. I said, oh yeah. I said, you daggone right, we got a lot of potholes. And I said, I think it's a conspiracy. I think that the city has like a contract with the automotive repair shops because that's why they keep all the potholes. They don't be fixing them. But yeah, he started laughing. He said, yeah, I think so too. But UPS, I don't know how many years he worked for the company, maybe 30 years. And he told me he retired early. I said, oh, okay, that's what's up. I said, how old were you? He said he was 52. He said he took a buyout. I said, what? I mean, I know what a buyout is, but I wanted him to explain it to me. He said he took a buyout. They offered him $50,000 in cash, and he could keep the shares of the company. He said that they just was giving him shares throughout his whole time working there. I said, that's what's up. I wonder if they still do that. Anybody work for UPS? Do they still give you shares? Let me know. But he said they would give him shares of the company. And he said when it came time to retire at 52, when he was deciding on that buyout, he said he just took it. He said he took it and he was gone. And I asked him, did he do anything after retirement? He said he did a little side work, some remodeling with a friend of his. But other than that, he never went back to work. 52 years old. Nice gentleman. But he goes into telling me about the stock he owned. He said he never touched it. He said he's even given shares of his stock to his children. He said, I gave them a lot of shares of my stock. And he told them, look, this is all you're getting from me. That's what he told me. He said, I told him, this is all you're getting from me. So manage it well. I said, did you tell him not to touch it? He said, no, I didn't tell him that. He said, I just told him to manage it good because this is what you're getting from me. So I asked him if he still has his. He said, yeah. He said he hasn't touched it. I said, man, that company's been through a lot. I asked him, was there ever a point where you thought about selling your stock? He said, no. He said he was a little worried when they stopped taking ink signatures. He said he was worried about that. He thought it was a bad idea, a bad move to stop doing pen ink signatures. You remember back in the day, you used to have to literally sign with something with a pen if something got delivered to you. I think some delivery services still do that. But he said UPS started doing, what did he call it? EID, died? I don't know. Some type of, they do electronic signatures now. If you need to sign for something that's expensive, you can electronically sign it on their little screen thingies. He said when he when they changed over to that, he didn't think it was a good idea. And he thought about selling his stock, but he said he didn't do it. He just, he just kept it, and he said he's glad he did. And I asked him, I said, is there anything today you worry about with the company? He said he is worried about Amazon. He said he is worried about Amazon because, Amazon, it's Amazon. Amazon is everywhere. They talking about doing drone deliveries. They talking about driverless trucks. So he said that is their competition, and he is worried about them. But he said he's not touching it. He can't see himself touching it. And he said he's been able to live off of it after retirement. This is a story of long-term investing, ladies and gentlemen. All right? I told y'all, I don't believe stuff until I see stuff. And then when I meet one of these people, and there's just so many of them that I meet, I just pass on the lessons. When I meet one of these people, it affirms my, not necessarily belief in investing, but it affirms what I try to teach my peers, what I try to tell the young people I work with. I had a conversation with a young girl the other day. One of my buddies, one of my friends at work, he's walking to the hall. He saw me talking to this young person. He was like, "What you doing, man? You giving some parenting tips?" I said, I'm trying. So I'm talking to this young person, right? And I always encourage young people to invest, because I wish I would have had somebody at work when I was working, when I was their age. I wish I would have had somebody like me at work encouraging investing. You know what the old heads encouraged me to do back in the day? I was a blue collar worker. I'm still a blue collar worker. But back when I was a blue collar worker, the old heads encouraged me to work a bunch of overtime. Yes, you heard that. That's where the money is. Well, I never forget some of these conversations. You working this weekend, you working Sunday, work a bunch of overtime. That's when you start making the real money, if you work a bunch of overtime. Nobody ever talked to me about investing. I had maybe one supervisor who encouraged getting the company match. Had a company that would match like 4% into your 401k or whatever. He said, I definitely encourage that because that's free money. I didn't understand it, so I just, okay, whatever. You said free money, I'll do the company match. This is when I was really young. So I did it, and I never stopped doing it. I'm glad that he gave me that nugget of advice, because I probably wouldn't have, And I even remember workers next to me. We were in a little meeting. I remember workers next to me, and I remember one guy, and he was probably in his 30s. I was in my early 20s. He was like, "Nah, I ain't doing that. I want all my money now." But he didn't understand the value of matching what the company offers you to put into your 401k or your retirement account. That the company is giving you free money to save for your future self. But he didn't think about that. I didn't either, but I just went along with it. But I'm glad my supervisor talked to me about that. And I tell these young people that I talk to about investing, I say, I'm going to be somebody, you're going to remember me when you get older. I'm going to be either the person, this is what I'm going to be. I'm going to be one of two people to your future self. I'm either going to be the person who you say, I remember that guy that I used to work with. He used to talk to me about investing all the time, and I never did it. I should have did it. I should have started. I'm going to be that guy, or I'm going to be the guy. I never forget that guy I worked with, Ivan, man. He got me into investing when I was young, and I'm so happy I started. And I wish I would have started a long, long time ago. So I'm going to be one of those two people. But anyway, the young person in question, right? This is what I did. And I probably said this in another video. I just asked her, I said, okay, question. What kind of phone you got in your pocket? How much is that phone? $1,000. Let's just do the math. Let's tally it up. I know y'all probably heard me say this before. Say you got a $1,000 phone in your pocket. Okay. What's the watch you got on? How much is that? It's like $300. Okay, so you got the $1,300, right? Do you have the buds for your ears to listen to music? You got that? Yeah, that's in my purse. I got them $200. So now we got the $1,500. So I continue the questions. I said, do you have one of these computers at home from this company? You have one of those computers? Yeah. How much that computer cost? $1,000. Okay, so we up to $2,500. Okay, right? That the math? That is the mathing? We up to $2,500 from this of products from this company. And then I proceed to ask, I said, do you pay for any services from this company? Do you have like a music subscription, a TV subscription? You notice I'm not naming the company. I said, do you have a music subscription to this company? Yeah. So you pay what? $15 a month, something like that. Something like that. I don't know. Something like that. I said, okay. So we have $2,500 of equipment. And you're probably going to buy the next latest one too. And you also pay this company monthly for its services, to use its services. You use their products every single day. And now if you research this company prints money on a regular basis, meaning this company is worth multiple trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. They make billions and billions and billions of dollars almost like monthly. They print money. I even told her the company that we work for. This was in a nursing home. I told her, I said, I've looked up the company we work for, you and me. This company that we work for makes $184 million a year. Okay? This is what I told her. I said, that's the company we work for. We get a little check from, and this company makes $184 million a year. I said, do you know that the company that I'm talking about makes that in 2 days? Every 2 days, the big company makes what our company makes in 1 year. Think about that. And you live in the United States of America. You have the wonderful opportunity to be a part owner of that company that you're spending all this money with, that could buy your company 100 times over. You feel what I'm saying? The company we work for. I said, why haven't you started buying shares? Why haven't you started investing? Now, I'm not pushing anybody to invest in any particular company. Notice I didn't name the company, okay? But let's get back to my man. UPS said he hasn't touched one share, doesn't plan on touching any shares, and is very happy because of it. When I meet people like him, it reaffirms my, I'm not going to say love, my interest in investing, and it reaffirms me wanting to tell other people about it, make sure my children are doing it, make sure, my friends, I got friends who don't believe in investing. I don't know. Maybe it's the way they were raised. Maybe it probably wasn't discussed in their families, which is okay. But the research is the research. The information is the information. Okay? And I don't believe stuff until I see stuff. And I've seen stuff when it comes to this. When I meet these older gentlemen and women who did this for a long time and watched the compounding, watch the compounding compound, it definitely makes me want to teach other people about it, encourage other people to do research, and I will definitely not encourage anybody to invest in any particular company. Heck, I wouldn't even invest in UPS. I would just invest in Amazon. Me personally, I would invest in UPS. But it is a good company. And he said it's been around since 1907. That's how long they've been around. So it's a good company. It's a blue chip company full of blue collar workers. So the moral of the story, invest for a long time. Not telling you any specific company to invest in. I would encourage people to invest in index funds like the S&P 500. It's better than keeping your money in a bank account. Okay? Your bank account is not growing your money. Even if you get a nice interest rate, it's not compounding like it can do with like an S&P 500 index fund. And the good thing about the index fund, I don't know, I'm sorry if I'm sounding repetitive from other videos. Good thing about the S&P 500 is you own the top 500 companies in the country at any given time. Not just the top 500 companies right now, but the top 500 companies at any given point in time in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. So all the top companies in the country right now probably won't be all the top 500 companies in the country in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. But you know what the S&P 500 index fund does? It boots them out. Get out of here. You're not good enough for us. And it brings the new players in, because there's always new players that come in and rise to the top. That's how it works. That's the good thing about the S&P 500. I would start there if I was new to investing. And those your favorite companies you like, Feel free. There's risk involved. A lot more risk involved. Whew. I'll tell y'all my favorite quote from The Intelligent Investor. I love that quote. I love that book, The Intelligent Investor. If you're new to investing, please read that book, The Intelligent Investor. My favorite quote, I think I've said this in another video. My favorite quote is, I don't know and I don't care. I don't know and I don't care. When you invest in the S&P 500 index fund, you don't care who's at the top, who's not at the top, which companies are doing great, which companies are doing bad. You don't care. You know why you don't care? Because the fund takes care of it for you. If these companies are at the top, if Nvidia is, at the top making money hand over fist, good. You own part of that too. If United Healthcare, it took a crap, it recently took a dump. United Healthcare, that big old healthcare company, oh man. If you're a shareholder, you are mad right now because the stock really just had a decline, a sharp decline. However, if you just own the index fund, you could care less about that. Yes, it's in there, but the index fund doesn't worry about that. It'll just boot it down. Get out of here. Let's bring up, Apple, Microsoft, bring them up to the next tier. You feel what I'm saying? Whew, please, y'all. Please take the lessons from an 80-year-old. I even told this 80-year-old about the 96-year-old that was also a long-term investor in his company that was called Bell Atlantic, which turned into Verizon. And he shook his head. He said, yeah, I remember Bell Atlantic. These older blue-collar workers who work for these blue-chip companies, man, you got to give them credit for being long-term investors, for sticking with it through thick and thin. Not jumping ship, not getting scared out of their positions, and sitting back and enjoying the compounding. Look what happened with the tariffs. Remember the tariffs happened and everything dropped and everybody was scared and going crazy. Now look at where we at just not even a few weeks later. Not even a few weeks later. So if you would have invested during that time, you'd be a happy camper right now. You'd be a happy camper. I'm a happy camper. I'm a happy camper. So please, y'all, please take heed to these lessons from these old school investors, man. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. That's my message for today, y'all. That's my message for today from the lesson from my former UPS worker that I just met, who reminded me about the potholes in Baltimore City. Oh, I hate those potholes. Ooh. But anyway, y'all, it's your boy, One Physical Therapist Assistant. Y'all know what it is. I always bring y'all the lessons from the legends. Lessons from the legends, okay? Please listen to the lessons from the legends, all right? They're here for you. These lessons are here for you, okay? I'll give them to you every now and then when I found a good one, and this was a good one. This was a good one. Shout out to the UPS workers, man. Shout out to all the truck drivers and delivery drivers and, people who deliver packages. I'm glad y'all don't have to do cash on delivery anymore. Ooh, that's crazy. Anyway, y'all, it's your boy, One Physical Therapist Assistant. I appreciate y'all for coming through. As always, man, respect your elders, and help people out whenever you get a chance. That's always my message. Y'all know that. And I'll holler at y'all in the next video.